Hi everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to walk you through a static combo. This combo is more of a high beginner, low intermediate combo. We have some static rotations in it, although very light, as well as some dynamic static moves in it. Like all combos, you want to feel pretty confident in most of the individual skills before attempting the combo. And what I'm going to take you through is how to transition between different moves. So the first part of this combo, you start in a side seat. And I do recommend starting relatively higher up on the pole. You don't have to be super high, like at the top of the pole, depending on how high your pole is, but maybe about middle of your pole. So if you were to come into a sit, it would be where my hand is. So the first thing that we're going to do is talk about how to go from a side seat into this cast and then land in a sit from there. And that's where the static rotation is going to come in, because you're going to rotate around the pole in a sit and then land on one side of the pole. Okay? You do have to have a pretty strong bracket grip. Bracket grip is this one, because that's what you're going to be holding on with when you're doing that rotation around the pole. So let's do that first. So I'll climb up about halfway, hook a knee, come into my side seat. So this top leg is going to be my momentum leg. It's going to do a really big swing out, and then I'll wrap my legs around into a sit. Make sure that you are pulling with the top shoulder here, and the bottom hand is going to come down to about here, and it's going to push you away from the pole. So watch how my top leg circles out. I take my legs off and wrap and really whip myself around the pole to land on this side in a sit. If you have enough momentum, you can actually keep going to land on the other side. So you're just getting a little bit more rotation if you decide that you want to do an extra half turn around the pole. So that's the first part of the combo. Again, when you're in your side seat here, I'm pulling with my top shoulder, pushing with my bottom hand. And then my top leg comes off like a big circle. This leg also will release. To start the rotation and to wrap around into your sit, I then take my inside leg, lift it up and around, and really quickly whip it into the pole as I land in my sit. That's what creates the rotation. So make sure that you're really thinking about how to use your legs to create that static rotation. And like I mentioned earlier, you want to have a strong bracket grip because that's what's supporting you through this transition. Okay, so let's talk about the next transition now, which is a cast into a knee hook. Okay, so once you're in your sit, this is something that you can practice just off the floor first, so you can get a feel of how to cast your body away from the pole if that's not something you've ever done before. So what that's going to look like, I'll just do a baby climb up just so that I don't have to worry about kicking the floor with my feet. Okay, so I'll go here and sit. I'm going to take my hands at chest height. For this particular combo, doesn't really matter which hand is on top. Maybe go with whatever's more dominant for you right now, but you want to be able to maintain a pull-up strength here. So shoulders down, hands are going to be around face chest height. So what you're going to do is hold your weight with your hands. You're going to drop your legs off the pole and kick them behind you so your back will come into extension or into an arch. Okay, so you'll drop, swing back, and try to do it a few times. Okay, so all you're doing is, if I did this on the floor, and I was like this, I was in my sit, I would drop my leg grip, swing this leg back, and as this leg comes back, I'm using my glute and my back to lift my back leg. And you can see here, I'm in an arch. And the more I do that in a row, you're going to get more momentum to be able to swing your body and cast it further away from the pole. So what that looks like is, if I was here, cast one, cast two, see my stomach is coming a little bit further away from the pole every time. Your stomach might touch the pole for the first one or two, but the goal is to do maybe only 2 casts for this combo, because the more casts you do, the more tired you're going to get, right? So you want to try to get as much momentum and clearance as you can the earlier on. So again, I'll show that. From a sit, hands to chest height. I'm going to go cast 1, 2. Okay? When you come back into the pole, you want to make sure you do like a reverse worm or a reverse wave. So when I come back in, chest, stomach, legs, you want to be here and then like here, because then you're going to hit your crotch into the pole, and that's not what you want to do. So when you cast, again, you go here, arch, and then relatively naturally, this part of your body is going to come in, and then you'll bring it back. And then again, swing, wave it in, and back. Okay? So that's how you do a dynamic cast. Now, from that cast, what we're trying to do is land in a knee hook on the pole. Okay? So to get there, you have to have that momentum from your cast, because you need to create enough space between your body and the pole to slide your knee in there, okay? So if I were to do a cast, okay, and say I'm out here, right, this is my cast position, I would actually be much further if I were to do the actual combo, which I'll show you in a second, but I would be back here, and then when my body is out and away, I would crunch and really quickly swing one knee up and into the pole. So I'm landing here on my way back into the pole. Okay? Let me show you what that looks like. Okay. So we're going to go 2 casts into the knee hook. So we'll go 1, 2, hook. Okay? So you can see there how on the way back in after my second one, I really quickly brought my one knee in, turned my body to the side, and brought my knee to my chest to be able to hook it here. With my other leg, I brought it behind the pole. So you can think 1 knee in front, 1 leg behind. Okay? So that's where you're going for the cast. This is a very common transition in dynamic static pole moves, but the biggest thing again is being able to hit those casts. So really swinging those legs back, trying to get as much space and momentum as you can, and distance from the pole. The more distance you have, the more time and space you'll have to get your knee in there, okay? Last note about that, when you bring your leg in, if you try to hook your knee too low, it's maybe not going to feel the greatest, and it's also not going to hit the right spot. So that's why I said when you bring it in, you want to crunch, really turn your body to get your knee in there. I also think about pulling my hip up, so a little bit of a side crunch to be able to get my knee up there as well. I know that's a lot of pieces to think about when you're doing this part of the combo, but all of that will come together to help you get that knee in there, okay? So let's move on. And I will show you this whole combo together at the end, but for now we'll continue to break it down bit by bit. I do recommend as well, if you're feeling overwhelmed by all the parts, just practicing up until this point first. Trying to go from your side seat, cast around to sit, another cast, swing, into your knee hook. That's a really great place to be and a spot to pause and practice and see if you can get those pieces down. Once you do get those pieces down, then the next step would be coming into your Jasmine. And then from there, honestly, there's a lot of moves, from Figurehead. You're going into a Figurehead after that. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'll come up and I'll go for my cast. Okay, so I'll go here and then I'm going to swing back. 1, 2, hook. Now, I have my right hand down. Your bottom hand, when you hook your knee, should be the same as your knee. So right hand to right knee hook for me. Then I'm going to pull up and come into a Figurehead. Okay, so you're pulling your hips forwards and landing in a bicep grip. So if I was here facing you, I would land like this in my Figurehead. As you saw, I did a little bit of a static rotation there. That is optional. I recommend worrying about that part last if you're not as familiar with static rotations. But if you want to add it in, what I did is from my knee hook after my cast, I landed here, like I mentioned. My bottom hand is the same as the knee that hooked. If you want to hook your left, then when you cast, you want to make sure that you set up your hands with your left hand under so that you can hook your left knee this way, okay? So once you get there and you want to transition into your figurehead, without the static rotation, all you're doing is pulling yourself up, your body up, pushing your hips forwards to get the pull into your armpit. If you want to add some static rotation to it, then what you want to do is as you're pulling yourself up, you want to think about leaning your torso back a little bit, but as you lean your torso back, you're also using your hands to help you move your body around the pole. So if I'm here and I'm pulling up, what I'm doing is I'm using this bottom hand and I'm thinking about doing this motion on the pole with my wrist, because if I do that, if I'm just standing facing the pole here and I'm holding, and if I pull my wrist like that, it moves my body in that direction, okay? And that's one of the foundational things about static rotation is knowing how to use your wrists to be able to rotate around the pole. So again, when I'm here, you can even feel it on the ground, okay? I land after my cast. My right hand is hooked. I'm going to make this motion on my wrist. So I'm going to think about pulling. I'm going to pull as I pull my hips forwards, okay? And that should give you some rotation. That's step one with the rotation. Depending on how much you want, you can continue to pull, and then once you can't pull anymore and you feel your body starting to stop, then you actually want to re-grip and over-grip and then pull again. And your top hand is probably just letting go and releasing with you. You can also use it in the opposite way as well. I just don't want this to get too confusing for you, but because sometimes static rotations can take a minute to understand. But basically what your hands are doing is initially here, pull, okay, that'll move me this way. It'll only get me so far, okay, and then what will happen is that I will have to over-grip, under-grip, pull, okay? So the motion is over-grip, under-grip, pull, over-grip, under-grip, pull, okay? So you're using your wrist in this motion, and basically when you hit your end range, you're changing into an over-grip with your hand, okay? With that other hand, it won't do as much, but if you do really want to get the rotation and involve it a little bit more, then you don't want your hand to just stay in place, right? Otherwise, you're also going to get stuck. So you want to be able to hold on with a loose enough grip that it can move with you around the pole. But also, if you want to use it more in the static rotation, then what you actually want to do is think about pulling it in the opposite direction than your bottom hand. So the bottom wrist is going like this, like back of your hand to your forearm. Whereas this one, instead of going like this, it's actually going to go like you're curling this way. So it's opposite, back of your hand back, front of your hand forward, okay? So you can see different actions. So again, with this wrist, I'm going here, pulling this way. And with this hand, I'm going here, like I'm doing more of like a wrist curl motion. Same time as my bottom hand. Let's see if I can show you that. Let's just do it from stand. So here, pretend my knee is hooked. I'm going to lead with this bottom wrist. Okay, I'm going to go here, pull. This hand will slide a little bit. Okay, and then this one will over grip. And then again, I pull. Maybe I'm also doing this motion with this wrist. Okay, so that's what you want to think about doing when you are exploring this part of the static rotation. What I'm going to do is just show you how to go from that position you landed in after your cast. And as you're transitioning into your figurehead, I'll try to cue through those hand movements. So let me just go up a little. Okay, so I landed here in my cast. So now I'm going to pull my hips up, and as I do that, I'm going to pull with this wrist. Pull, slide top hand over grip, pull. Okay, so hopefully you were able to see how I pulled, switched, switched, pulled, switch, switch. Okay, so your hands are adjusting with your body as you go around, and they're engaging, right? So again, I pulled, switched, over gripped, pulled, also engaged my top wrist as well to kind of like push, so you have a push and pull motion going on. I'll leave that there. Again, static rotations can be a little confusing if you're not familiar with using your wrists and your hands to rotate around the pole, but you can involve that into this combo if you like. The next step after that, we're getting close to the end, is you're going to actually reverse the direction and go into an apprentice, and then we'll just pause in a Jasmine. But there are a lot of different places that you can go from there. So now let's talk about how to go from figurehead into your apprentice, okay? So I will go from my figurehead here. From here, really pull with the top hand. This bottom hand is going to go into a split grip, open palm. I'm going to swing and come up to here, and then hook over my top hand. Slide my top hand down, and then try to get it into my knee. So now I'm in my Jasmine. And that's where you can end for right now, because we have a lot of technique-related things going on in the first half of the combo. This is more just trick to trick now. So again, when I was in my figurehead, I was here. My bottom hand slides down. I cued open palm because your thigh is going to be in the way, so you can't actually do a grab around the pole. So you want to go open palm, index finger still down, and try to squeeze like this as much as you can with your thumb pad and the other end of your hand. Okay, so you're pushing and trying to grip as much as you can. My other leg, so my non-hooked leg, is going to lead. It's going to swing up into my apprentice as I pull with the top hand. As I do that, I'm not releasing this leg fully off the pole. I'm actually rolling over my thigh and leaning my torso across the pole to be able to tip into my apprentice. Okay, so this leg, the unhooked leg, is swinging up to point to the ceiling as much as you can. This leg, I'm keeping the side of my thigh in contact. As I roll open into my apprentice, that's when space opens up for me to actually grab the pole and find a proper split grip. So we go figurehead, split grip, swing up, roll over my thigh, and grab. Okay? So the more momentum you can use to swing your free leg up, that will help you roll over your leg and land in your apprentice. The slower you do it, the harder this will be. You'll need to use more strength. Over time, you can play with that though. But initially, use the momentum. So really swing up, and again, when I'm in a split grip, I'm rolling over my thigh, coming here, and then opening into my apprentice. Okay? So that's how you transition into your apprentice from your figurehead. It does take a little bit of strength. The last bit is going into your Jasmine. So let me just show you on the floor how to do that transition. So let's say I'm here in my apprentice. Top leg, I'm going to hook the outside of my ankle over top of the pole. Try not to squish your fingers, but you will have your leg around there. You might have it a little bit higher. Some people even hook a little bit lower. You can play with that for yourself. But to get your leg there, you have to rotate out. So externally rotate and then hook your leg around the pole. So it's kind of in like a figure 4 pigeon rotation. Now, you have to get your arm out. Don't just take it out. You want to slowly slide this hand down, and as you slide the hand down and out of the way, this knee is going to come across the pole, and then it will eventually hook, and now you're in your Jasmine. That entire time, I'm keeping the pole in my hip flexor here, and this hand would remain in a split grip. Let's try that up the pole. I will go from, I'll just go from Apprentice. So here, hook, slide, bottom hand and top hand, but top hand will slide out, and then you can see here how I slide it into my knee, and I stayed in my hip crease that entire time because that is aiding as a grip point, okay? The reason why I like to slide my bottom hand with me is so that I can drop the torso a little more, and it just makes it a little easier and more spacious for me to maneuver. Whereas if my torso is higher, that means I'm closer to the pole and closer to my top leg, which means I need more flexibility and active mobility to be able to move my leg around. Okay, so remember the slide. Loosen your grip a little, slide through the palm of your hand or the heel of your hand, and then once you're able to hook your knee, then you can re-grip. Okay, so that is how you do the entire combo. Like I said, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of different little technique-related things, so take it transition by transition, and once those things start to click, then you can start to piece everything together. Okay, so I'm going to show you now what this all looks like from the top of the combo, which is the side seat. So I'll climb up here, come into my side seat, pull with the top shoulder, bracket my bottom hand, and then I'm going to swing 1, 2, and rep into my sit. Adjust which hand is on top, getting ready for your cast. I'll go 1, 2, hook. Okay, now you're pulling up into figurehead. Maybe with some rotation, split grip, Apprentice, hook. Slowly slide it out. You can re-grab with your top hand if you want, or you can leave it off the pole. Okay, so that is the full combo. Play with it, take it step by step, and if you don't want to try it that high up right away, you don't have to. That first bit of the combo though, just make sure you have enough clearance between your feet and the ground so you don't have to worry about kicking the ground. But there you have it. You can even play with doing it on both sides, seeing which one feels better. I can't wait to see you try the whole combo. If you post it on social media, tag fEMBODY Studio, tag my account, Kian_ing, and I can't wait to see.